Los Angeles shimmered under an unforgiving sun. A sprawling metropolis where dreams were forged and shattered with equal ferocity. Its glittering facade, a mosaic of Hollywood glamour and architectural marvels, barely concealed the stark contrasts beneath, the hidden struggles, the desperate whispers of those clinging to the fringes. This was a city that promised everything, yet demanded an exorbitant price, often paid in shattered ambitions and forgotten lives. In the heart of this sprawling urban tapestry, far from the polished gleam of Beverly Hills, Elias Echo Thorne moved through the familiar dust and sweat of his rundown boxing gym. Once a champion, a name whispered with reverence in the hallowed halls of boxing, he was now a shadow of his former self, a disillusioned trainer whose glory days were long past. Each clang of the heavy bag, each grunt from a sparring fighter, was a hollow echo of a career cut short, a betrayal that had cost him everything: his title, his reputation, and, most painfully, his connection to his daughter Maya. Redemption, he knew, wasn't for him, not anymore. But perhaps, just perhaps, he could still fight for hers. His daily grind was a solitary penance, a faded photograph of a life he could never reclaim, punctuated only by the ghosts of what might have been. Miles away, in a sleek, glass-encased office overlooking the city's pulsing arteries, Maya Thorne embodied the very ambition her father had lost. Brilliant and driven, she was an architect carving her own formidable legacy, determined to escape the long, suffocating shadow of her father's past. A deep-seated resentment simmered within her, a bitter taste of abandonment and perceived failures. Her current magnum opus, a controversial urban redevelopment project in a neglected district, was not just a career move. It was a defiant declaration of independence. She would prove her worth, untainted by the echoes of her family's former strife. Yet even in her carefully constructed world, shadows began to gather. Maya's project, a beacon of hope for the struggling community, faced unexpected and aggressive opposition from Aegis Development, a powerful and shadowy corporation. Their methods were ruthless, a chilling symphony of intimidation and veiled threats that rippled through the city's underbelly. Maya, steadfast in her legal and ethical standing, initially dismissed their tactics as mere posturing, confident in the righteousness of her cause. Unbeknownst to her, the architect of this rising storm was a ghost from Elias's past. Victor the Viper Vargas, Elias's former rival, the man who had orchestrated his downfall in the ring, now served as a high-ranking enforcer for Aegis Development, deeply enmeshed in their illicit operations. Power and control were his motivations, coupled with a lingering, venomous desire to see Elias suffer, a thirst for vengeance that had never truly been quenched. The first crack in Maya's armor appeared at a tense city council meeting. Amidst the sterile formality, her gaze locked with Victor's. His eyes, devoid of warmth, held a chilling promise as he delivered veiled threats towards her project, and more disturbingly, her personal safety. Maya, though defiant in her outward demeanor, felt a seed of fear take root, a cold tendril of unease coiling in her gut. Whispers of Aegis Development's ruthless tactics and Victor's involvement eventually reached Elias in his dusty gym. A primal, protective instinct ignited within him, a flicker of the fighter he once was, overriding years of apathy. He recognized the pattern, the insidious grip of corruption that had destroyed his own life now tightening its hold around his daughter's future. Elias began to move, discreetly at first, using his old contacts from the streets, the forgotten network of informants and hustlers who still remembered Echo. He uncovered the true, horrifying intentions of Aegis Development, not just profit, but complete illicit control over the city's future. Victor, he realized, was not merely an enforcer. He was a key player, a crucial cog in Aegis's corrupt machinery, wielding significant, terrifying power. Then came the first warning shot. A minor yet significant act of sabotage targeted Maya's project, a deliberate act designed to shake her, to make her reconsider. The incident, though not catastrophic, left Maya shaken, the reality of the danger undeniable. Who was truly behind these attacks, and how far would they dare to go? Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Elias, his heart heavy with a familiar dread, tried to reach out to Maya. He called. He left messages, attempting to convey the insidious nature of the threat he perceived. But Maya, still encased in her protective shell of resentment and independence, dismissed his warnings with a sharpness that stung. To her, his concerns were merely a rehash of old problems, a desperate attempt to reinsert himself into her life, not a genuine effort to help. The emotional chasm between them yawned wider, a silent testament to years of unspoken grievances and perceived abandonment. Her belief in her own strength, while admirable, blinded her to the very real danger closing in. Meanwhile, Victor, sensing Maya's isolation and the growing cracks in her resolve, intensified his relentless pressure. He orchestrated a series of escalating incidents, each one carefully designed to undermine her project and her confidence. He even used his past connection to Elias as a weapon, subtly taunting Elias through intermediaries, whispers carried on the wind of the city's underbelly. The message was clear: abandon the project or suffer the consequences. Victor's ultimate goal was to isolate Maya completely, to leave her with no allies, no recourse, effectively forcing her to capitulate. Despite Maya's rejection, a flicker of purpose reignited within Elias. In the dusty confines of his gym, he found himself training Leo, a young, aspiring boxer whose raw talent and earnest ambition stirred something deep within him. Leo, with his hunger to learn and his unwavering dedication, reminded Elias of his younger self, before the betrayals and the disillusionment. Mentoring Leo became a surrogate for the relationship he yearned for with Maya, a chance to impart a wisdom he had dearly paid for, to find a measure of redemption not for himself, but through another. This quiet act of mentorship underscored Elias's enduring capacity for connection, his deep-seated need to guide and protect, even when rejected by those he loved most. Maya's world, once so meticulously constructed, began to crumble under the relentless assault. Her project, once a symbol of her triumph, teetered on the brink of collapse due to Aegis's relentless interference. Financial pressures mounted, and threats to her professional reputation became increasingly overt. One evening, alone in her apartment, a rare moment of vulnerability washed over her. She found herself sifting through old photographs, her fingers tracing the faded images of a younger Elias, a smiling Maya nestled against his side. A buried love, a yearning for what once was, pulsed beneath the surface of her carefully maintained composure. Driven by an unwavering need to protect his daughter, Elias continued his clandestine investigation. Through his network of old contacts, he uncovered a vital explosive piece of evidence, a meticulously kept ledger detailing Aegis Development's illegal dealings. The ledger meticulously documented a vast web of corruption, including a major payoff directly involving Victor, illuminating the true scale of their illicit operations and the profound danger Maya was truly in. It was clear now. Victor was not merely a pawn, but a central figure in a far grander, more sinister game. The challenge, however, loomed large. The ledger was hidden in a secure, heavily guarded facility, protected by Victor's most trusted men. Elias knew he needed to make a move, to draw Victor out. He made a calculated public appearance at a high-profile boxing event, a place he knew Victor, with his penchant for the spotlight, would undoubtedly attend. Across the crowded arena, their eyes met. No words were exchanged, but a tense, silent exchange of glances passed between them, reigniting the embers of their old rivalry. Victor's characteristic smugness, a smirk playing on his lips, only fueled Elias's resolve, hardening his determination to expose the truth. A glimmer of hope, however, emerged from an unexpected quarter. Maya, increasingly isolated and desperate, found an unlikely ally in Sarah Chen, a city council member known for her integrity and her growing suspicions regarding Aegis Development's opaque practices. Sarah, having observed Aegis's increasingly aggressive tactics, provided Maya with crucial internal intel, confirming some of Elias's earlier dismissed warnings. This unexpected alliance, forged in the crucible of shared concern, gave Maya renewed courage and a tentative path forward. As Elias delved deeper, the layers of betrayal peeled back, revealing a truth more complex than he had imagined. He learned that Victor's betrayal years ago, the one that had cost Elias his career, wasn't solely driven by Victor's ambition. Victor had been actively manipulated, a pawn in a larger game orchestrated by a higher, unseen power within Aegis. This revelation added another unsettling layer of complexity to Victor's character and Elias's painful past. The question now lingered, a chilling whisper in the back of Elias's mind. Who was the true mastermind behind Aegis, and what was their ultimate terrifying goal? The fight was far from over. The question of the mastermind's identity gnawed at Elias, but his immediate focus narrowed to retrieving the ledger. Fully committed now, a fire rekindled in his aging eyes, he meticulously devised a daring plan to expose Aegis. He knew he couldn't do it alone. His old boxing crew, a collection of seasoned, loyal street veterans, answered his call without hesitation, their hardened faces reflecting a shared history and an unspoken code. Leo, the young protege, proved surprisingly resourceful, his youthful agility and tech savviness a valuable asset Elias hadn't anticipated. Their collective motivation was clear, unwavering loyalty to Elias and a burning desire for justice in a city that often seemed to forget it. Meanwhile, Maya, armed with Sarah Chen's unsettling intel, began connecting the dots, each revelation a stark corroboration of Elias's earlier warnings. The depth of his concern, the genuine danger he had tried so desperately to convey, finally resonated. The carefully constructed walls around her heart began to crumble. In a moment of raw vulnerability, she hesitantly reached out to Elias, the words catching in her throat, asking for his help. It was a silent, profound reconciliation, a bridge slowly mending across years of unspoken pain. The night of the heist arrived, a cloak of Los Angeles darkness enveloping Aegis's secure facility. Elias, leading his small, determined crew, moved with the precision of a seasoned strategist, his instincts honed by years in the ring and on the streets. Leo, light-footed and quick-witted, disabled the perimeter cameras while the old crew created a diversion, drawing away the primary security detail. Inside, Elias navigated the labyrinthine corridors with an uncanny sense of direction, his mind a steel trap of remembered layouts and whispered rumors. Tense moments passed like agonizing seconds, close calls sending adrenaline surging through their veins, but their coordination was flawless. With a triumphant click, Elias retrieved the crucial ledger, its pages brimming with the damning truth. However, the momentary triumph was short-lived. A tripped sensor, a silent alarm, pierced the stillness. The facility erupted into a cacophony of blaring sirens and shouting voices. A thrilling, desperate chase ensued through the neon-lit streets of Los Angeles. Victor's men, a relentless tide of darkness, swarmed after them. Elias, with Maya now by his side, instinctively navigated the city's hidden passages, the forgotten alleyways, and the bustling backstreets, using his intimate knowledge of the urban landscape to evade capture. His boxing skills, though aged, proved invaluable, allowing him to dispatch several pursuers with swift, economical movements. They narrowly escaped, the roar of their getaway vehicle echoing through the night, but the ledger, now clutched tightly in Maya's hands, had transformed into a ticking time bomb, its contents capable of detonating a seismic shift across the city. The inevitable confrontation arrived with the chilling precision of a predator's strike. Victor, his face contorted with a mixture of rage and desperation, cornered Elias and Maya in a derelict warehouse, a fitting backdrop for the settling of old scores. "Echo," Victor sneered, his voice laced with venom. "Still fighting battles you can't win." A brutal, emotional hand-to-hand fight erupted, a visceral dance of fists and fury, settling years of unresolved conflict and simmering resentment. Elias, despite his age, fought with the raw grit of a champion, his every move fueled by a lifetime of pain and a fierce protective instinct for Maya. He weathered Victor's younger, wilder blows, using his experience and strategic mind to slowly, methodically, wear his opponent down. Finally, with a powerful, calculated blow, Elias overcame Victor, his adversary collapsing in a heap. In a final desperate act, Victor lunged for the ledger, attempting to destroy the damning evidence. But Maya, quicker than he anticipated, thwarted his move, securing the truth. The ledger, now safe, exposed the true mastermind behind Aegis Development, a highly respected and seemingly benevolent city figure, whose public image was a complete sham, a meticulously crafted facade concealing a web of avarice and corruption. This revelation sent shockwaves through the city, shattering illusions and igniting outrage. Maya, with Elias's unwavering support and Sarah Chen's strategic assistance, leaked the ledger to the press. The scandal erupted like a wildfire, leading to immediate arrests and widespread investigations that ripped through the city's political and corporate elite. Aegis Development collapsed, its foundations of deceit crumbling, and slowly, painstakingly, justice began to prevail. Elias found his long-sought redemption, not in the roar of a boxing arena, but in the quiet, profound act of protecting his daughter and courageously exposing corruption. Maya's project, once threatened with ruin, was not only saved but revitalized, earning her newfound respect and recognition. The emotional bond between Elias and Maya, once fractured and fragile, was healed, forged stronger than ever through shared adversity and a rediscovered love. In a poignant final scene, Elias and Maya stood together, overlooking the revitalized city, its skyline now a symbol of their renewed hope and their hard-won battle. Los Angeles, they both understood, was indeed a city of dreams, but also a city that demanded a constant, unwavering fight for what was right.